The small town of Udenta, a thriving society, once prosperous and vibrant, now lay in ruins. King Agbo's mercenaries. The relentless mercenaries had swept through it with fire and fury, leaving behind only ashes and broken homes. The people of the town had refused to bow to the crushing levies imposed upon them, and for that they had paid dearly. The streets that were once filled with laughter and song now echoed with despair. There had been no word from King Agbo's forces for a few weeks, but the fear lingered like a heavy cloud over the town. The mercenaries had given their final warning, but the chiefs and elders were unsure of what else they could offer. The threat of annihilation loomed closer, and the atmosphere was thick with dread. On one fateful day, as the sun rose over the smoldering ruins, King Agbo's mercenaries stormed the palace once more. This time, they did not come for gold or food. They came to make an example of the king. They humiliated him in front of the entire village, dragging him through the streets like a common criminal before abducting him and taking him away. The chiefs gathered in haste, their faces grim. They were now leaderless and at the mercy of a tyrant who had no qualms about destroying them. They had long known that King Agbo's mercenaries could wipe them out without hesitation, and now it seemed their worst fears were about to be realized. In their desperation, they called for the Dibia of the village, the wise and revered oracle who could communicate with the spirits of the ancestors. The Dibia, an old woman whose eyes seemed to hold the weight of countless generations, arrived in the midst of their gathering. Her presence alone commanded silence. She stood before them and spoke, her voice soft yet heavy with a certain weight of prophecy. "The town is doomed," she began, her voice carrying a somber finality. "Unless you bring back Utazi, the one you banished unjustly. The spirits say he is the only one who can save you now." "Utazi, that traitor?" one of the chiefs lamented. "Yes, the one you all banished because he spoke the truth to power, the one who had more balls than your king to stand up against King Agbo. You all benefited from selling our people as slaves to King Agbo. Now he has decided to come here and pick slaves whenever he likes, since you all don't value your people. Woman, that traitor tried to overthrow the king," one of the chiefs stressed. "Maybe if he was successful, we would be at peace. He was a man of the people," she added. The king feared his growing influence among the people and knew he was in danger of being overthrown. His wife, Ulama, conspired with chiefs for him to be framed. Utazi had a weakness. He drank too much wine. The chiefs conspired with the bar owner to give Utazi too much wine until he blasphemed. His return is the only way to defeat the forces of Agbo. He will lead your army and he will become your king, but only if you bring him back and bow before him. The spirits have spoken. The chiefs were torn. Their pride and fear of Utazi's power stood between them and the only hope of salvation. But the prophecy was clear, and with no other option, they resolved to bring him back. It was a long and arduous journey to find Utazi. They traveled deep into the wilderness where he had sought refuge after his banishment. The man they found was not the same as the one they had cast out. Life, hardship, and betrayal had changed him. His once kind eyes were now hard, his smile replaced by a grim expression. He had built a life for himself far from the village. He looked at them straight in the eye and said, "I know why you ants are here," Utazi said. "You need me to save you from King Agbo. If I return, it will be on my terms." The chiefs, desperate and with no other choice, agreed. They knelt before him, swallowing their pride, and swore an oath. Utazi would return, and he would rule as he pleased. The prodigal son had returned, but this was no longer the man they had once known. He was power-drunk. He was a tyrant. As the day of reckoning drew near and King Agbo's forces prepared to strike once more, Utazi stood at the head of his army. The chiefs, now completely dependent on him, watched as he gave the order to march. The battle that followed was one of blood and fury. The mercenaries of King Agbo underestimated the force of Utazi's army. The battle was swift, and Agbo's forces, though numerous, were no match for the hardened warriors Utazi had molded. When the dust settled, the town was free. The people, though victorious, understood that their salvation had come at a price. Utazi was not the hero they had once imagined. They had made a pact with a tyrant. He recovered the king, but in the coming days he will unalive him. He banished the Dibia. Now he craved worship. He became another man, or perhaps a god. Life in Udenta will never be the same again.